everybody, it's Hannah from Mother Goose's Makery, and today I'm going to be making the Tonic Octavia Bow Box die set. This was a create and make launched in April? Last day of April. April 2026. It sold out in 12 hours, but more are coming in. So if you've got it, use these directions. Fantastic. If you plan to get it when it comes back in stock, also great. This video will be here on YouTube for you when you get it. So in here, we have a super tiny die set that makes a fairly sizable box. So you've got our box lid and base. These are your connectors. That's your box side, box lid side. These are some of your ribbon strips, some more ribbon strips. These make the base of your bow, and these decorate the top. There's also a little die that makes this piece, which goes here. It pinged off somewhere, and I am going to find it later. So it's not there, but the piece I've got is cut out already, so it's fine. So as per usual, I read the instructions. I got slightly lost. I've gone rogue. So we're not going to make it as per the instructions. But if it was as easy as just making stuff as per the instructions, you just follow the instructions and you wouldn't be watching this video. So we'll see how I make it. Hopefully my plan works. Might do, might not. We shall see. Also, in the instructions, it says cut out 32 of ribbon strip 2, which is this one here. And I think you only need 28 because I can't work out where the other 4 go. So, you know, you can do what you want. You can cut out the 32, but I'm just saving your hand from turning the handle a bit more. Or we might get to the end of the make and discover that I really did actually need 32. And boy, will I look silly. Which, quite frankly, will be no change to usual. So I've cut out all my bits already. So we have 8. Oh, I've also, yeah, I went rogue again. So it says you only need 4 of the lid segments, and I cut out 8 because I figured if I was doing 8 of one, then I might as well do 8 of the other and hide all my workings. So I have 8 of the base and I have 8 of the lid, and I'm going to use the same logic to put both together. See how that goes. Right, so we're going to start off with the base, which, if you look, is the smaller of the 2. So you can see it's just slightly smaller diamond shaped one. I'm going to flip my pieces over, and I'm going to put them together in, I was going to say in a square, because you know what I mean, because there are 4 of them, but it's obviously an octagon because it's got 8 sides. But 4 of them together in a grid. And then what we're going to do is you get the smaller of these. So you have, if you can see, this one's slightly bigger. So it's for the lid because the lid is bigger. These are slightly smaller. So it's for the base. I'm just going to start off by popping glue all along the underneath of this. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick it on here from this end to there. Let me get the next one. And then obviously this is just going to butt up to the next one because of the triangles. So put the triangle there. so that's one. So we'll put that to the side. Sometimes, because pieces look so similar, I just jot down what it is on the inside where it cannot be found. So that's the base. I'll put that aside for later. Gonna do the same thing with a top. So there we have, and that's going to be our lid. We'll just put those to the side to dry. With the top of the lid, we're going to do the same, but with these. So these are, I think, ribbon strip 3, and I've already decorated them with this. So what we can just do, apply glue to this bit. And put the point to the middle. You can just go straight down. You can see then that will just fold down over the edge of the lid. Then we can move on to the next one. I mean, it doesn't technically matter which way you put them up, but I quite like the nice beveled edge on the edge because I think it just makes it feel more luxurious. And then you can just get your precision glide folder. I was going to say bone folder. Then I almost said your Teflon boning tool, which sounds incredibly dodgy. And it's not what I meant to say at all. There's a little errant bit of glue on my work surface. It's fine. We're going to stick a giant bow on it. That'll cover a multitude of things. So there's your lid. That would obviously go on top of that to hide the workings from when we've attached our sides. So we're going to take our lid piece, and here we have a stack of lid edges. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick these all the way around the outside. And if you haven't already, I recommend giving that a good little burnish with your bone folder. So this is going to be our underneath. So we want to glue them like this. And then we're going to stick the top on top to hide all of this. Because if making Tonic projects for about 3 years has taught me anything, I really love to hide my workings. Just make a project look really neat and finished and lovely. And then you give it to someone and then they're genuinely shocked at what you've done. Just this week I gave, well, my mum gave on my behalf, a card to my cousin. And I used the Tonic Shadow Box Gate Creator Wedding Box. There's too many words in Tonic titles. It was a box with a shadow, a gatefold shadow box card. It's just too many words. And he was shocked because he doesn't know me as a crafter. He was utterly shocked that I had made that card. He was like, what? And I got a lovely text message from him yesterday going, I was blown away by that. That's amazing. And I think if you approach your makes with a level of professionalism, I mean, I'm not a professional crafter. I don't approach many things in life with a level of professionalism. But I think if you try to take pride in your work and try to make things as neat, as finished as possible, then you will wow people because they will see the love and the effort that you've put in. And, I mean, handmade stuff is impressive. And I know some crafters are all about computers and stuff, but I do love something handmade. Now, is that appreciation necessarily reflected if you were to do a stall and try and sell your goods? Probably not. However, I don't generally do that. I make things either for the design team I'm in or just as gifts for people I love. And so I approach every make with a level of effort because I think it shows. I think people can tell when you've worked hard on something. And that's not to say quick makes can't be good. Just that if you're doing something elaborate and fantastic, I think people can tell. I mean, this is a relatively quick make. Is it going to look impressive? Yes. Yes, it is. And the way I'm going about doing it, I'm kind of giving each piece adequate time to dry and get set where it is. As Leo and Karen would say, be kind to your glue. I mean, I'm just making my life easier. Right, so just had a horrible moment where I thought I had stuck the pieces onto the wrong side of the lid, which, I'll be honest, sounds like the kind of silly thing I would do. But I have not. I just had a little wobble. So now we've got all these in. We're just going to pop a little bit of glue and just connect two sides. I'll just pop that on. I'm not entirely sure where that tiny little pink peg came from, but like I say, I can't make use of it. What I might do, I might skip one. What can be quite useful if you're going around something is if you do every other one, then that gives it a chance to grab before you go and do the one in between. Because otherwise you'd just be wiggling this while it's still trying to dry. And then you'll see how this will just sit on the top. Probably more glue than I needed, but so you can see we have one lid like that. It feels quite sturdy as well. I think because I've double layered that and it was quite thick card to begin with. So, similar thing with the base. We've got base wrong side up, and we're just going to begin sticking all of these along the edge. So yes, the instructions don't ask you to have 8 bits on the lid, but I just felt like the right thing to do. But then it does ask you to have 8 on the base. So I don't know anymore. But like I say, almost every time I make something, I laugh in the face of instructions, unless there is a very complicated mechanism, in which case I have to read the instructions because I'm like, I have no idea how this works. But if it's a fairly, sensible is probably not the right word, but a normal box construction, I should be able to work that out. So again, then I'm going to alternate folding them up. I'm going to miss this one, do this one. What I'm going to do, line it up here, most of it in place. And turn it on its side and just use my bone folder to just really cement that in place. And we're just going to do that all the way around. So that's our box made with all 8 sides attached. Now I haven't attached the base to it yet, but that's because I still need to attach the ribbons on the side. We'll do that in a second. And then here is the lid. And as you can see, that fits on. It's a little bit loose, but we're going to reinforce that later so that it's a tighter fit. And now we're going to work on the bow. So the bow is made up of a bow centre which has 2 halves. So you can see one half I've attached bow loops to already, and I'm just going to attach the other half to it now. There's a flap on either side, so you apply some glue to those and then just interlock them, press and hold. And then what we're going to do, the larger bow loops, and that's where we glued 2 together. So I think it's the one we had 32 or 28 of. We attach 2 together to make a longer length, and that's what produces the larger loops on the bow. So you'll just stick one of those, you stick one end to the little flap on the outside, almost like the tooth of a cog, and then you'll stick the other end to the underside, which will produce your big flouncy loop. So next I'm working on the central part of the bow, which was the little circle with the teeth as the base. And then I've taken the super fine ribbon strips, and I had 8 of them. However, the way I've done it, I only actually used 4. Because what I've done is I've made a little sphere by attaching one end to one side of the circle and the other end to the opposite side. And then as I've worked around the circle, I've just gone on top with the next one, and then on top with the next one, and then on top with the next one. So it's almost like a little spiraled sphere, because each of these little pieces has a split down the middle. So I've gently just separated the card so it looks more pronounced. And so it looks like we've done it with 8 tiny strips rather than 4 bigger strips with a split in the middle. That is a very hard sentence to say. So before we can add here the sphere, we are just going to work on the middle ring of bow loops. So these are made with the ribbon strips that we made the outer layer with. And I've just curled them with a bone folder and looped them round on themselves. So I've just stuck one end to the other. So we have pre-prepared loops. And then what I did was I took the super fine ribbon strips that I made the sphere with, and I just separated the 2 different sides. So I had 8 tiny strips, and I've just glued them on top to be a little bit decorative because I thought it looked pretty. And it kind of went with the whole colour scheme. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue on the middle loops inside the outer loops, and then adhere the sphere, which is very pleasing to say, into the middle. I'll be honest, I'm using shiny paper, and I put metallic cardstock on top of the shiny paper, and I was impatient, and my glue was not loving me, so I might have, and by might have I mean I did, very much cheated and used some red liner tape to stick the bow loops on, because life was way too short to be faffing about with this. Also, side note, I'm not entirely sure how I was supposed to attach the central bow loops. However, for what I wanted to do and have them nestled next to each other, I found there wasn't quite space. So what I ended up doing was I stuck down the 4, so like north, south, east, west, and then I cut a little triangle out of either side of the intermediary ones so that they could just slot in place. So like your northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest ones. Just because it was feeling quite cramped, and that way they could nestle in with each other. Now, that's not what I was supposed to do, but it worked. So that's what I did. I'm telling you, you can do it, you can not do it. I'm just giving you options. And then once all the middle row are in, we can glue our sphere down in the middle. And then once that's dried, that is our completed flouncy bouncy bow for the middle of our Octavia box. And all we have to do is attach it. So with the bow done, what I've done, because I used a very lightweight paper, it was quite a dramatic fold in the middle because it wasn't curved properly. So what I've done is I added another one of these on the inside to just give it more structure, and it's given the bow a lot more shape. Obviously, if you use a proper GSM of card in the first place, this won't be a problem for you, but I didn't, so that was on me. So, the sides. These are the last of your ribbon strips, and they are attached to the same extender that you put on the side here, which makes them long enough to fit over the box. So they go under, they go all the way from the bottom. Don't worry, we'll be hiding this in a minute. And I've glued them up the sides so that they line up with the lid. And then I've just put on one of the top embellishments, and I've popped a matching embellishment on the side because I'd missed that out before. And then the last thing we need to do is glue down these tabs, because I did not do that. Now, then we're going to need to stick our extra 4 pieces to the bottom, just so it looks finished. Just cover our workings. Right, and the last fact, which I did off camera because it was quite dull, because obviously there is a gap between the dies because of the size, there has to be a gap between in order to make them. There is a disparity between the lid and the box. So what I've had to do, I've cut more of the lid inner pieces, trimmed off this flap and this flap, and just glued them on the inside to make the box narrower so that it fits more snugly. And what I might do, I might raid one of my other Tonic kits and just get a little tab closure and apply that just so it's secure. Or I could tie an actual ribbon around it. Or I could put a magnet in it. There are options. There are options and possibilities. You could just pop a little magnet under here and here inside the lid, and then it would... Oh, I should have done that. Well, that's annoyed me. I might still do that. Yeah, just a cheeky little magnet, and then it would secure. But anyway, I'm going to do that off camera because I have to find the magnets first. But this is my Octavia hat box. I think this bow is magnificent. I love it. This is going to be given as a prezi. And it's a huge box. I mean, like an entire glue bottle will fit in there each way. So that's like a fair size. Not that I would actually ever part with or give away my Nouveau glue. Oh, no, 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 no. So that's my Octavia box done. I hope you liked the tutorial and the tips and my method. I know I didn't do it as per the instructions, but I did warn you about that before we started, so you knew where we were going with that, as per usual. But I've done my bit. If you could please do your bit and like and subscribe, so it does wonders for algorithms and more people get to see it. And if you want to be able to see pictures of all of my makes, not just the ones I do tutorials for, follow me on Instagram, Mother Goose's Makery. And if you do have any purchases you want to make from Tonic, I have an affiliate link in my bio. It doesn't cost you anything, but it just means that I make a tiny commission whatever you get. Anyway, thank you for watching and keep crafty.